Well, I think this is the two really ultimate questions. I know the suffering is hard to witness. How long will it last? As long as the Ukrainian people are willing to die for their freedom. Here's what I think. I think the Ukrainian people are not going to accept a peace deal that's not genuine. Remember the Budapest memorandum? They gave up the third largest nuclear force on the planet, the Ukrainians, with a promise that Russia, the United States, and Great Britain would basically honor their sovereignty. How many of you believe that they had that deal to do over again, they would have taken a different course, knowing what happened? So it's important we get this right. It's more important that we get it right than when it ends. Now, if you're in Ukraine, you want it to end right now. But if this ends badly, as the gentleman said, then you're going to unleash holy hell throughout the world. I am convinced that if Putin gets away with this, China will take Taiwan much sooner. I'm convinced that if Putin gets away with this, the Iranians are going to be more aggressive, not less. The converse is true. If Europe and the United States and the Mideast and the rest of the world can see this through, give the Ukrainians the weapons they need to take the fight to the Russians. The Russian military on the ground is beginning to break. It's the air campaign that's wreaking so much havoc on the Ukrainian people. Give them the MiGs. Every weapon system we've given Ukraine, they've used effectively. Give them the S-300s. Give them the ability to control their skies. Be clear, if there's a chemical weapons attack on the long-suffering people of Ukraine by Russia, I would advocate fiercely for a NATO no-fly zone. We can't sit back after 50 years of conventions against chemical weapons use, watch it happen and do nothing about it. So tell the Russians that if you drop chemical weapons in Ukraine, there will be a contest for the skies. If there's a tactical nuclear device exploded inside of Ukraine by Putin because he's losing to scare all of us away, I consider that an attack on NATO itself, because the fallout from a nuclear explosion will contaminate Europe. The one thing that's been missing in this debate is clarity. Clarity as to what happens when Putin escalates. To my friends in Europe, the Germans have done things that nobody could envision a month ago. Putin is still getting $5 to $7 billion a week from oil purchases made by Europe. I am convinced that the Russian people are beginning to understand that as long as Putin is their leader, they have a very dim future. I believe things in Russia will change over time if we keep the sanctions on. And the only way this can end in the right way is for the Russian people to take matters in their own hands and bring about a change in regime. I really, honest to God, believe that. If you wanted the world to change,
let me just clarify. Are you suggesting regime change?
I am suggesting that the Russian people deal with Putin. I'm not suggesting Americans invade Russia. I'm not suggesting American boots on the ground. But here's what I'm saying. I'll let the gentleman talk. After Aleppo, after Chechnya, after the Ukraine, after killing opposition people, after stealing his country blind, why the hell would we want him to stay? He's been the most destructive force for the last 20 years on the continent of Europe. He's wreaked havoc all over the world. He's formed with Iran to keep Syria dismembered. So it is time for him to go.
Senator Graham, 30 seconds, and I want to give the final word to His Excellency.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hold you up, but the average American believes that we have been involved in this region. For 20 years, we've been in Afghanistan. We spent $1 trillion, and we lost almost 3,000 troops. Aleppo, we should have done more, right? Yemen, place is starving. How do you deal with this long-suffering people and not reward the Houthis? How do you now help the starving people of Afghanistan without locking in Taliban rule forever? Isolationism is what I fight every day in America. There's a lot of Americans believe that no matter what we do over here, it doesn't work. Here's what I would say. This is the best region of the world for America to be involved in because things are changing for the better here. I come here enough to know that the future of this region is brighter than it's been in my lifetime. And finally, about clarity. If you don't tell Putin what we will do, you're making a mistake because he sees it as weakness. If you don't tell the Iranians what their red lines are regarding their nuclear program, you're going to live to regret it.
Thank you so much, Graham.